So, how long did when you saw this movie? How long was it? Like, did it seem?
Seeing perhaps 10 minutes, because when I first walked up to this viewing form, I actually reached up to touch it because I wanted to see how it was dangling in the air, sitting in the air, and the gray on my right grabbed my arm and pulled it down, and he said, "Don't do that. It would not be good for you," whatever that means.
And did he
Now, the
speak?
odd
It was
thing
a
about that,
telepathic. Was it telepathic messaging?
oh, yes, all telepathic. I've never seen them move their lips or anything. And the
So they
smaller,
move your arm away. So they moved
he
your
moved
arm
my
away.
arm away, and I noticed it was kind of odd at the time that, if another human being grabs your arm, you can feel the life in their hand, fingers. So when he did that, I didn't feel any life in it, and I thought at that time it seemed kind of strange. But then I just let it go. I would have expected to feel, his fingers moving, nothing. So it's kind of odd.
Now, the visuals that were on the screen, like how realistic did they seem to you? Like what, like compared to what we kind of technology that we have then and now, like what kind of technology did this look like to you? Was it three-dimensional perhaps, or?
Well, it was kind of rudimentary. I mean, especially the aircraft. They were really just silhouettes of aircraft. So I kind of got the impression. And when they were bombing, they were using biological, chemical munitions, which I had trained with the entire time I was in the Marines. The aircraft were just silhouettes of aircraft, that represented aircraft. So I kind of got the impression they created a scenario that I could relate to. I've read that some people see these apocalyptic scenarios and the world ends through pollution. But for me, I know a lot about aviation. I was trained in that field. So I thought maybe they had tailored this for me. But I did ask them a question while that was going on. I asked them, how can you all do all this in the span of a few hours in the night? It was a lot of people there. And I've gotten accustomed to them not responding to you when you ask a question. They just don't respond. So I don't understand that because I was the only person on that platform. So were they going to show everybody a tailored scenario? And how can this occur in the span of a few hours? I just don't understand.
So and then you saw scenes of destruction. What were the scenes of destruction like? What were you seeing exactly?
I saw they were dropping chemical, biological munitions. So I saw people choking, people dropping dead. I saw birds falling out of the trees. You know, what is the effects of biological and chemical weapons? They weren't using high explosives. They were using biological and chemical munitions. So I saw people choking and dying. It was horrible. It was horrible.
And then it just how did it come to a conclusion? Just saying that this is it, the world is done, and that's it.
Yeah, this what happened. When I was watching the uh world, it was a view from outer space. I was seeing the earth. And I heard those words. And I'm a Bible Christian. So I say again, I think they created a scenario I could relate to. But as I'm watching the earth, I see these objects coming out of it. And these are people who had died, I guess, during this. And these were Christian people, and they were like lamenting people who had died and who weren't saved. So they put a religious tone to this. But it seemed to me it was done just so I could relate better to it.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
I mean, it is extremely bizarre. And it is really, all my life I've been chasing answers and I don't have them, even to this day. I just do not understand that. Why are you showing me the end of the world? What am I supposed to do?
And
And
so,
then
go ahead.
I'm just saying, so what we're seeing, in the media, what's happening internationally, is actually keeping me up nights sometimes. That this could actually come to fruition.
Now, I'm assuming that after this first, when we had this dream, I'm sure it rattled you for some period of time, but I guess as the decades rolled by, you were thinking, well, it must have been just some sort of a nothing burger. But now things change, So I'm just
And right. And now with all these things going on, because after that, I kind of, you never put it out of your mind, but I compartmented it, get on with my life. I'm a veteran of Desert Storm, so life went on. And the last event was in 2001, and that was on the first time that I can recall. I had a conversation with that gray, that's the one that I'm familiar with. He's always, when they come, he's always there.
And what happened in that incident? What happened in the 2001 incident?
I was in bed with a girl, sleep, and I felt something on my spine. So it made me sit up, and in my bedroom, and because I moved back to the house that I grew up in. My father had passed away. I was selling the house because my mother still lived there. The neighborhood had gotten bad. So I was in the process so I was living there while I was selling the house, which I did. But I wake up and that gray is standing right in front of me with about 4 of the smaller grays to his right. And these guys are kind of irritating because the little ones never move. I don't know what the purpose of their presence is. But I look at him and I say, what are you doing? Because he had this device in his hand and he had been pressing it against my spine. And it looked like, what drummers have, they call it a broom or a sweep. There are wires coming out of it. It didn't hurt. And it kind of had like a small electrical charge. And he said he was checking my energy levels, whatever that means. And that tingling made me sit up. And so he did that, and I'm staring at him, and he's I'm on my bed, but he's standing up. And he looked like at least maybe 6'2", 6'1", 6'2". And he's looking at me, and I said, I know you. And he said, yes. And I said, I've always known you. And he said, yes. And I said, every time you guys have come to me, you've been there. And he said, yes. And I said, even when I was a little boy and you all would come, you were there. And he said, yes. And I said, the first time it happened, you were there. And he said, yes. And I said, just like a friend. And he said, just like a friend.
Wow. And what happened?
After that, when he said that, I was just overcome with emotion, which I couldn't understand. It was like I was talking to my closest brother. And I sat there staring at him for I think perhaps 5 minutes. And he just sat there looking at me. Then the small grays turned and just floated through the window, the door, and floated right out of the room. He turned. He was the last one to leave and floated right through the window and just floated away.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that was the last time.
That was the last time.
25 years
and that
ago.
was 2001. There's been nothing that I know of since then.